Caltrop is an area denial weapon designed to stop the enemy. The Caltrop is a sturdy, simple, yet effective weapon no matter its position. Its purpose was originally designed to stop elephant and donkey attacks. It graduated to stopping tanks. And now, the Caltrop is your defense against propaganda, polished lies, and manufactured outrage. It's free from counterfeit credibility and synthetic truth. However, inside the walls of the Caltrop, you're going to be forced to think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop.
From the heaven to the hell, the Mike Calderese, the Caltrop, he never stops, so ring the bell. He bring the facts, he spin up every morning till we sleep. He get it deep, Mike Calderese, in your head and in your sheets. And we don't mind, and we don't care, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop. And we don't mind, and we don't care, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop. And we
Good evening and welcome to the Caltrop. I am your host, Michael Calderese, and welcome to this Wednesday. I know I missed Monday, and I'm a little bit running behind. There's a lot to do in this show, and when I'm working with my hands all day, I don't have enough time to prep it, man. So I apologize for running a couple minutes late here, but I think I have everything in order where it needs to be, so we can have a nice, smooth show for you guys. And we do have a packed show on the Caltrop tonight. We have. The left is obviously losing their minds again. We have war crimes. That's what the Mike's Right topic is going to be about. It's amazing watching this same outrage and just it's the same game over and over and over again. It's very fun to make fun of this bit of the newest left-wing outrage. And I got to tell you, it's incredibly convenient timing, isn't it? We're going to get into that in a little bit. We obviously have Somalis. We haven't talked about the $1 billion or billions of dollars. It seems like it's a lot of money, possibly going to terrorist groups, which is good. It's more interesting that we're upset about shooting a boat down than we are about Minnesota and $1 billion possibly going to fund terrorism overseas. You got to love that story. Somalis. We're talking about Trump's calling them garbage. We have Ilhan Omar. We have 50% possibly fraud rate in their visas. There's a lot to talk about there in the deep dive segments. We have Trump accounts. Very interesting plan out of Trump. This is in the big, beautiful bill. I think now we're starting to talk about he's I think they're starting to roll some of this stuff out. But the Trump accounts for kids, very interesting. We're going to talk about that. We have Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's the football, the quarterback for the Giants. Very good kid. He just came off a concussion protocol, and we have a funny video to play about that, about him kind of joking around and laughing about it. I don't think anybody has caught this. But let's get the show started right with the Mike's Right. Shut the fuck up and listen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, gather round because the Democratic outrage machine is up and running like Hunter Biden after a crack hit. So apparently the Trump administration took out another narco boat. Boom, gone. Well, it took two booms. And the part that everyone's losing their mind over is the second strike. Not the first one, the second one. Because, see, the first strike, that's not the problem. You know, the one that was meant to blow up the boat and send the two guys to meet Pablo Escobar on the Great Beyond. That would have been fine. That would have been totally normal. Very good. You got them and killed everybody in one strike. But the strike number two? No. That's unacceptable. That's a war crime. Really? So we're mad because we didn't rescue the drug traffickers after we bombed them? These Democrats are hysterical. They wanted the Coast Guard to show up like FEMA with blankets and fucking juice boxes. It's like, hey, man, sorry we vaporized your boat. Have some Folgers crystals and try not to paddle home. So let me get this straight. They're trafficking poison into the U.S., killing thousands of Americans a year, destroying families, towns, entire generations, But somehow they're now the victims. Help me make that bit of lunacy make sense. And then here come the Democrats sprinting to the nearest camera. Lock him up. He's a war criminal. Hegseth must resign. You've only been saying that for 9 months, haven't you? Aren't you tired of it yet? Blah, blah, blah. It's like I've heard all this left-wing outrage chorus more than I've heard Mariah Carey in December on Christmas season, and it's every day. Now let's point out the elephant in the room. It's interesting timing, isn't it? This outrage suddenly explodes right after the Treasonous Six released their "We Totally Didn't Conspire" pinky promise video, where every single one of them was asked, hey, name one illegal order that Trump gave. And magically, the answer then was crickets and sweaty foreheads. They didn't have one. So what happens when their narrative collapsed and they got it thrown back at them? Call in the media. Quick, media, make something sound illegal. What do we have? We need something fast. A second missile strike. Perfect. Cue the outrage. My favorite part of this whole thing, though, it's the admiral. You know, the dude that actually gave the orders. The media goes, well, you could have refused an illegal order, right? And he's like, oh, well, funny story. It was my orders. Well, then, of course, Pete is now incompetent again. And while we're on war crimes, let's just review of what the left-wing media did not get outraged over. Obama drone striking wedding parties like they were seasonal targets. Benghazi, totally fine, nothing to see here. What difference does it make? Afghanistan withdrawal, the greatest military disaster since somebody thought it was a good idea to storm Russia in the winter. Biden, open borders, cartel cashing checks, fentanyl flowing like Coors Light at the NASCAR tailgate, and thousands dead. But now, you discovered morality now? Because drug traffickers from some corrupt narco state got turned into ocean seasoning? Spare me. I prefer that the sharks eat well. These people aren't distributing chocolate. They're not selling Girl Scout cookies. They're not misunderstood entrepreneurs. No, they're killing Americans every single day. And the left wants me to shed a tear because two guys from a country that their own people are fleeing got blown up with a product that makes poisons U.S. citizens? Come on, give me a break. You know what this really is. The left cares more about everyone else, criminals, illegals, dictators, foreign governments, than they care about Americans. They don't call Maduro a criminal. They don't demand he resign. They don't ask for his arrest for the deaths he exported. No. It's always America is the problem. It's always the Americans need to be punished. The left loves Venezuelan leadership more than Hunter loves Venezuelan imports. But here's the truth. I care more about American lives and the feelings of people actively trying to destroy them. If the choice is save the drug traffickers or stop American deaths, I'm picking the latter 100 times out of 100. I say keep the pressure on, keep the attacks going, and protect Americans first. Because the real crime isn't the strike. It's pretending the drug traffickers are the victims and Americans are the problem. So let's run it. If you want a nation, protect the people who live in it. Simple. And if you want chaos, do the exact opposite. And the left has been doing the opposite for years. Thanks for listening, everybody. That's the Mike's Right. I'll bring the war crime discussion as soon as the media tells me what I'm allowed to be outraged about tomorrow. And it's amazing watching all of you buy into it. That's the Mike's Right. Hope you listen. Oh, yeah, man. It's very interesting. I'm actually going to be on the I Came With Fire show. I Came With Fire podcast. I don't think it's their live fire tonight. I think that's Fridays is their live fire. But I'm on with Chris tonight. I think Brandon can't make the show, so check me out then. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I think it's 7 p.m. Pacific. Where they're at, they're a far ways away. But let's check it out. Looks like we have a little chat going. We have Jake Calder, Mama Dukes, Yankee 68. The only one commented so far. Maybe I have to get out and get back in. Sometimes it's like the old school, level 1 tech support. Oh, there we go. We got some more. Both on Facebook. I have both on Facebook. Throw out the garbage. Yankee 68 says throw out the garbage. Let's get to that, Yankee 68, because we have a situation where Trump, do we want to jump around? Where do we want to start? Let's continue with this headset stuff because it's very interesting, and then we'll get to the garbage because it seems like there's a lot of garbage everywhere, right? So this is Donald Trump, and I guess this is the reasoning, and this is why they designated them terrorists. But Trump throws out a number, and I love some of these statistics because I don't know where the fuck they get these from. But listen to this.
Every boat we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives.
That's right.
And if you look at our numbers, the drugs coming in through sea are down 91%. I'm surprised there's 9%. You want to? I don't know who's doing the 9%, but it's down 91, and we're going to start very soon on land, and I'm sure you're.
25,000 lives. Every boat that brings in. Now, I mean, I guess you could do that data because what would you have to do? Take how much drugs you think are on that boat versus how many ODs versus those drugs, just by weight. If that's something you could even calculate, because how do they know the amount of drugs people are doing or can do? That doesn't fucking make any sense to me. But 25,000 people. Let's just say it is 25,000 people. Is that in and of itself worth blowing the fuck up out of these boats? Yes, 100%. It is worth it. 100% worth it. Because, dude, listen, we do have 100,000 deaths, 100,000 drug deaths a year. Plus, I think they said it was like 200 last year or something. I think that's high. I think I read something around the 100,000, but still, that is way too many drug deaths. Now, to me, it is people asking for it and doing it themselves, but we are importing a poison, and that poison is killing Americans. And when you start talking about numbers in the hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or even thousands, people lose their minds over 3 people getting shot in a mass shooting. If they happen to be kids that are not in the hood, not part of some gang, because we don't care about kids in Chicago dying. But you know what I'm talking about. We go crazy over every school shooting where something has to be done to stop these guns and stop everybody from doing this. Something has to be done, everybody. But all this, and we're more mad at the second missile or whatever the hell they shot at these guys. We're more mad at that shot that took out 2 people than we are the 100,000 people that died from drugs, from their drugs. And somehow you have the left out there that's losing their mind and they're buying into this shit. Oh, Trump is a war criminal. He's a war criminal. He's a war criminal. Because he killed 2 people? Non-American drug traffickers. It's absolutely insane. The fact that the media is even able to push this horse shit, and they have to sit there and they have to defend it like this.
Proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters.
So Yankee 68 says it applies broadly. Watch the videos from Kensington. 20 years of war was fine. And there are idiots who put this lap up and make more signs for their little protest. 100%. The fact that he has to get up there like an asshole and start talking about this stuff like, oh, this is the fog of war. This isn't the fog of war. If the first missile blew them up, what would you be crying about? The first missile I thought was intended to blow everybody up. The first missile is not the problem. It's the second one. This is the stupidest shit on the planet. This is the dumbest argument I've ever heard any of these people make. And they're still trying to bring up the Signal app again. CNN tried rerunning that same old fucking story. But the second one's the problem. It's fucking hysterical. Sounded like a little few good men. You're not kidding. You can't handle the truth. But this is. I'm going to play you a couple morons really fast. Let's play Representative Adam Smith on these drug boats. And I want you to listen to what when I say this word, it doesn't refer to who you think it refers to. It refers to this person. This is the retarded shit that makes this guy a retard. Listen.
Was this self-defense, and how do the rules of international waters play into whether this was a war crime?
Yeah, in my opinion, no. This is not self-defense. And no matter where you do the strike, if it's not self-defense, then it's illegal. And look, I have a lot of sympathy for the general idea that when we send our service members out into combat, they got some very difficult decisions to make. When you look at what was going on in Iraq and Afghanistan, and you're stopping someone, do they have a gun? Do they have a suicide vest? Are they a threat? When you're in the middle of an insurgency with roadside bombs and car bombs and all of that, even in the aftermath of the Afghanistan pullout, when we had that suicide bomber kill 13 service members and hundreds of people in Kabul, and we did that strike against a car that we thought was a threat that turned out not to be a threat, I have some sympathy for that. But people on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean carrying cocaine are not a direct threat to the lives of our service members or Americans.
Did you hear that utter retardation that these people put on their airways? And I'm sorry to say this, if you're one of those liberals out there that are buying into this type of ridiculous rhetoric, he is telling you that the drugs that guy's bringing in the middle of the ocean, this poor bastard, this poor fisherman in the middle of the ocean. I'm just a fisherman. I'm just fishing with kilos of coke and heroin. That's great bait. You throw some coke in the ocean, all the fish come at it because they want to get high, and boom, you don't even have to fish them. You can just grab them with your hands. That's all I have this coke for, officer. Well, why do you have kilos of it? Thousands of pounds. Oh, because I want to catch sharks. No, they're no threat to Americans. The drugs in this country are no threat whatsoever to Americans. It's no threat so much to the fact that we have to give Narcan to everywhere, even in high schools, because drugs are not affecting Americans. They're not hurting anybody. And he brings up, if you notice, the first thing he said, oh, it's illegal. So now, oh, boom, there's your illegal order. You wanted the illegal order? We just found you one. We just created it. We're making it up. We're making it up because they're just poor fishermen in the middle of the ocean with cocaine. And he brings up Iraq and Afghanistan with roadside bombs and shit like that. Give me a break. And then you have this idiot. I don't know what happened to Judge Napolitano. Like 10 years ago, he made partial sense sometimes. But now he's gone. And he did something you never do. He did something that you never, ever, ever do. And you never go full retard.
Gives me no pleasure to say what I'm about to say because I worked with Pete Hegseth for 7 or 8 years at Fox News. This is an act of a war crime, ordering survivors who the law requires be rescued instead to be murdered. There's absolutely no legal basis for it. Everybody along the line who did it, from the Secretary of Defense to the Admiral to the people who actually pulled the trigger, should be prosecuted for a war crime for killing these two people.
And who?
Sorry, my brain had to reset when he said the law says that we have to rescue them. Tell me where we've ever rescued terrorists. They are deemed a terrorist organization. That ruling has not been deemed illegal. So Judge Nips, tell me where it says, because I can't find it. I looked for it today. Where does it say it's illegal that if the first missile doesn't kill you, then we have to rescue you? Because shame on us for not killing you with the first shot. This is it's so funny. It's so stupid. And I'm like sucked into this whirlwind of horse shit. And everybody's talking about it. Oh, no. And we have people like fucking Johnson with his tight ass having to say this.
And secondary strikes are not unusual. It has to happen if a mission is going to be completed. So I haven't reviewed the scope of the mission. I haven't reviewed.
Does he? He kind of sounds like fucking Elmer Fudd when he talks sometimes, man. Oh, it's so bad. And yet you are not wearing your necessary prescription eyeglasses, because you would have clearly seen the two people clinging to life on the boat. You should have sent the Coast Guard. You should have sent the Coast Guard. And finally, this is Pete Hegseth on. Listen, I love what he's doing, because he's basically, I think he's got a blank check to tell people to go fuck themselves by Trump after going through what he went through to get to this position in the first place. But here's Pete, and I love this message right here.
Say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves. And allowed them to come across the border, cartels take over community, 20 million people, hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off. We're taking the fight to these designated terror organizations. And it's exactly what we're doing. So we're stopping the drugs, we're striking the boats, we're defeating narco terrorists, and we're standing.
And Pete, you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%.
91% they're down coming in by the sea. And I don't know who has the other 9, but they're going to get killed pretty soon, pretty quickly. We're going to do it quickly. We have Yankee 68 said, can you say dickhead? I can. I could say dickhead. I mean, how do you want me to say it? Like dickhead? Fucking dickhead. See? I got it, man. I got you. I could say that. Sound like a few good men. Ooh, okay. He's excuse me. There is no Secretary of Defense. Sorry, buddy. The Secretary of War. The Secretary of War. I thought the Secretary of War could blow shit up. I thought that was his job. Let's blow some shit up. Big E McD, what's up, Big E? Says he sounds like Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park. Yes. Yeah, you're right. Really, you're very, very right. Let's get into our next story. Which is fucking hysterical, because this is Tim Walz. Okay, Tim Walz apparently and I have a lot on this story because it's fucking crazy. So there is $1 billion in fraud in Minnesota welfare programs under Tim Walz. And the House Oversight Committee obviously launched a formal investigation on Tuesday for more than $1 billion. More than $1 billion in fraud. And it's interesting because what you have right now is you have a situation where, again, a whole group of people were taken and put in a specific state. And they were put in Minnesota for a number of different reasons. But number one, the Minnesotans are like Canadians. They're a bunch of pussies and they're a bunch of pushovers. And it's like, oh, yes, no, we love everybody around here. You know, they are those type of people that can be taken advantage of and taken advantage of and taken advantage of. Clearly. And again, so this is $1 billion. And it's like, oh, we got to get down to the bottom of this. We have to get down to the bottom of this. How did you let that much fraud get done to you in the first place? Every single one of these government programs, they show you time after time after time, especially when these corrupt bastards are running it, that they could just remove billions of dollars from the taxpayer and nobody gets put in jail. I think 50 people or 50 Somalians right now have so far been locked up. Who in our government approved it? Somebody cut the check. Somebody gave it. Somebody approved that. Who the fuck in our government, and it should be Tim Walz and everybody underneath him and then the people that signed it, are they fired? Did they lose their jobs? How did they allow this fraud to take place in the first fucking place? Oh, because the government is so inefficient and so bloated and so horrible at their jobs. Everyone's crying about the government workers. A lot of them are so horrible at their jobs that they allow $1 billion of taxpayer funds, $1 billion, and some are saying billions. And this is this fucking moron, Tim Walz.
Again, my message is simple on this. You commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to prison. I don't care what color you are, what religion you are. Anybody who wants to help us in that, we welcome that. But setting on the sidelines and throwing out accusations, and let's be very clear, demonizing an entire population and lying to people about the safety and security of this state is beneath that. And I will just add, as a teacher and as a parent, the absolutely pathetic usage of a slur, not to me, I don't care what he calls me many things, but don't think that doesn't hurt our children, don't think it doesn't hurt people who are dealing with this. And this is not normal, it's not both sidesism. We're solving problems, we're making life more affordable, we're talking about bringing people in, and we're getting this.
Oh, whoa. Hold on. Gotta adjust my camera. There we go. It's on me. It is on me. We are good. So what did you hear out of that moron? It's demonizing an entire population, demonizing a whole population, and it hurts your children. Let me tell you something. Your population demonizes itself when it engages in certain behaviors that the population doesn't govern themselves. You have it in Minnesota, in these areas, some of these Muslim areas where they're Muslim dominated. There's no alcohol, there's none of that stuff, but there's plenty of fraud. That's okay, right? Because you're doing that against the infidels, I guess, at that point, right? This is the part where, like, demonizing a whole population, no. The whole population is going to get labeled something. This is what happens. Happened to Italians, happened to blacks, it happens to everybody. So we have a couple things that are going on right here. So let's go this way with it. We had do we want to play Tom Emmer just yelling at him? Yeah, blasting walls. Let's play a minute of Tom Emmer real quick. I love this one.
I'm just grateful that you're reporting it, and the reason that it's getting reported is because Donald Trump, President Trump, finally made this a national issue when he sent out a truth a couple weeks ago. We've been trying to sound the alarm in Minnesota for more than 3 years. Everybody's focused right now on $1 billion plus in fraud that has been stolen from Minnesota taxpayers, and a lot of it allegedly has been sent to Al-Shabaab back in Somalia, a terrorist group. But you know what we're not talking about today? Do you realize that, it's not that all Somalis are committing crimes, but 80% of the crimes being committed in the Twin Cities in Minnesota are being committed by Somalis. And by the way, the FBI has been investigating Somali gangs in the Twin Cities now for months. I am grateful that President Trump has raised this to a national issue. This is it's kind of like a small version of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were doing at our southern border for the last 4 years. Tim Walz is as corrupt as and incompetent as the day is long. You got $1 billion of fraud. You got the largest fraud case pandemic fraud case in the country.
The largest pandemic fraud case in the country. This is fraud that's going back years and years and years now. So let's check it out if you don't know what's going on here. So the first part of fraud, feeding our future. This is the largest known COVID-19 fraud case in the country. Prosecutors allege that the nonprofit Feeding Our Future and associated individuals created sham sites to claim reimbursement for meals never served to children, stealing around $250 million, and at least 78 defendants have been charged in that specific case. Again, though, we were rushing to get people money, and we just handed them the money. Who's behind handing these people the money? This is why every one of you stupid-ass liberals, when you talk about the government needs to be doing this and the government needs to be doing this, they could be scammed for billions of dollars that are possibly going to Al-Shabaab. I mean, it sounds delicious. It's got a little skewer through it, probably has some meat, some vegetables. But if they're a terrorist organization and they were able to steal $1 billion, let's just say that's the story. And a lot of that money went, say $1 million. A terrorist organization was able to steal millions of dollars from a state. And I guarantee you, nobody in the state, there's not going to be one politician that gets arrested for this. Not one. I bet not one of them lose their job, and probably Tim Walz gets reelected. It's going to be, it's absolutely ridiculous. And here's another one, ready? The Housing Stabilization Services. In a separate scheme, individuals are accused of defrauding the state's HSS program, which provides aids for people with disabilities and seniors to find housing. Check this out. The program was projected to cost $2.6 million annually, but paid out $300 million by 2025. That's your liberal government right there. That's your socialism. That is that in a nutshell, period. You have a situation where it was supposed to be $2.6 million annually, but you paid out $300 million? The program hasn't been going on for 20 years. Wait a second. That's still only $40 million, right? Yeah, no, I'm right. So if it was going on for 20 years, 3 million times 20, say it's 60 million. Where's the other 240? Shit, I'm having to do math tonight. Fucking, I remember the Pythagorean theorem, by the way. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Here's another one, right? Autism therapy. Another scheme involving false billing for an autism therapy service, totaling millions of dollars in fraud. Here's $1 million, you get $1 million, you get $1 million. Defraud by millions. And what's funny about it is they marry their brothers and sisters, so their rate of birth defects and lower IQ is incredibly high. So because of how many kids they have, plus with how much inbreeding goes on in their population, because that's not a lie. What happens? You have a lot more mentally and physically disabled people, which cost a lot more money. But they're also in the system. So that means there's another avenue for you to defraud. I mean, you gotta love the fucking game that they had here. But now there's something that was said before, and I want to touch on this. Wait, one more. There's a federal response. So the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and the House Oversight Committee launched investigations. Let's see if they investigate the people. And then obviously there was criticism of Walz. But here you go. You ready? So here's the Somali crime statistic. The one guy said 80% of the crimes committed in the Twin Cities are Somali. I tried to find that statistic. I don't know where he got that from. Now, I'm not saying it's not true, but the Somali community makes up a small percentage of the Twin Cities metro population, about 2.26%. So if 2.26% is creating 80% of the crime, I think I would find that kind of hard to envision here, right? Official crime reports such as those of Minnesota Bureau of Crime Apprehension track general demographics like race and age, but do not provide specific breakdowns. Now, it did say that they are overrepresented in their prison population in comparison to that 2%. And it's highly overrepresented. So there is some truth that the Somalis are creating a lot more crime. But here's some more of it. Obviously, the former Hennepin County sheriff said that 95% of the Somali populations are law-abiding, good people, but noted a small percentage continues to engage in violent crime and gang activity. So you have the sheriff saying there's 100% roaming gangs and gang activity out of these people. Some sources indicate the Somali population is overrepresented. That's what I just told you. And in one neighborhood with a high concentration of Somali immigrants, Cedar Riverside saw a significant increase in violent crime between 2010 and 2018. This is localized and does not reflect the entire of the Twin Cities. So you have that's going on. Where was I going to go with the next bit? So the idea is that I don't know if I could confirm that 80% of the crime is being committed by Somalis. What you can say is that they're obviously committing crimes. I'm not saying that all of them are doing it, but they're obviously committing a lot of crimes. What I see is we're not a melting pot. We are not a melting pot. Multiculturalism, I think, is failing when cultures exclude other cultures and vote themselves favorable rules for their own culture and nobody else. And this is what you're seeing over and over and over and over and over again in America, no matter where you're at. But listen to this. So this is Mary Moriarty. She is the Hennepin County Attorney General. We're going to show you what she released in a second. But listen to her. This is what she's saying that's directly contradicting the sheriff. This is what bothers me about these fucking people. They just can't tell you the truth.
This is Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty. There are reports that the Trump administration is planning to send ICE agents here to the Twin Cities to target our neighbors of Somali descent. This is part of a recent pattern to single out our Somali community members. This is rooted in the idea that if they spew hatred, it will divide us. But we won't let that happen. There are no roving gangs of Somali people in this community harassing, threatening, doing anything to any of our community members. And let me repeat that again, because I've heard this often. There are no roving gangs of Somalis targeting or harassing or doing anything inappropriate to any community members. Those are simply lies.
So who's lying? Is the sheriff of Hennepin County lying? Or is it you? And this is, what's very funny about this is she says that. That is absolutely 100% not true. And she let out this guy, a rapist, a Somali rapist. No, it's not true. And this guy just happened to be part of a Somali gang. I don't know. I could have just made that part up, like the news. You decide whether or not I just made that little piece of information up. Because I guess that's what the news does anymore. I guess that's what attorney generals are supposed to do anymore. Just lie right to your face. No, these people aren't a problem. No. There's no roaming gangs. Of course there are. Of course there are. You see it in the crime data. You see the gang violence. It's so ridiculous. And, you have a situation where, are all of the Somalis bad? I'm going to say no, but I don't like that they're able to put it this way. You are a gang if you only hang out with your own people and you isolate yourself and you make your own favorable rules and you gang up against everybody else. You are a gang if you gang up against everybody else in your community that doesn't believe like you or isn't from your area. If your neighbors aren't cooking and eating dogs and cats, you're turning them off by doing so. But you see where I'm going. But then you have Trump saying this. This was funny, dude, because Trump, there's not a he never had a solitary fuck to give, but I think he's completely ran out of fucks.
I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that, Scott. I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing.
Oh shit! Sorry, edit that one pretty badly. I would do it pretty good in my editing too. So you first off, I love Trump. Somalians, you know who's doing it? Somalians. The way it's like they just taught him how to say that word. It's like, sound it out, Trump. Sound it out. Somalians. You gotta love it, but. You know, they fire off these numbers, and again, this is very hard to try to quantify. I'm sure they have way better numbers than what I could find, because you know I'm not being shown any of the real information from some of these search engines. I know that for a fact. But 83% are on welfare. Let's just say that's a real number. 83% on welfare. Is that something that we need to be importing? You know, are those part of our community? If you're not giving back to the community, if you've only come here and taken from the community, and if you can't come here and support yourself, and I'm not saying that they can, but if it's only 17% are supporting themselves, then why are you able to come into this country and immediately take full advantage of all of the system? You come from another country, we import you, and you don't want me to call you garbage when you're taking up our resources? You're not paying anything into it, and probably in the form of taxes besides sales tax. And you're getting all the benefits of an American. You come here as a Somali refugee, and if 83% of them are on welfare, I think that's insane. I'll take that a step further. Let's say it's not 83%. Let's keep working down. Let's say it's 50%. I think that's insane. That 50% of them are not able to feed themselves. Let's say 80%. Or let's bring it down to 20% are getting it. I still think that number is ridiculous. Because why are we importing anybody that we have to take care of? It should be zero. If you are coming here, you should not be supported by the state or by the federal government. You should have a sponsor like we used to do back in the day. I know when Italians had to come over here, they'd have a sponsor. They had to be fucking free of disease. They had to have a job possibility. They didn't get anything for free. You didn't get anything handed to you. But we're in that situation. You have Ilhan Omar that is saying this. It's funny because this is the only argument these people have at this point. And I don't know if they realize that nobody gives a shit about being called these names anymore.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic. We know that he called African nations a shithole in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And so it is not surprising that he is going after black immigrants in this country. And it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like to say is that most of us are citizens. On our passport, it says we are nationals of this country. We love that Minnesota has welcomed us. Many of us have not been settled in Minnesota. We chose it as a home because the Minnesota people and the state is beautiful and very welcoming. And we are going to be here regardless of what the president has to say.
Did you catch that Freudian slip? Many of us have not been colonized. Many of us just came here. Oh, because the colony existed? Uh-huh. But many of us have not been colonized, which means many of you have been colonized. So think about this, the American government colonizing a state to where that colony could have members in it that defraud that state and our government to the tune of $1 billion, possibly funding the next terror attack inside the country. Tell me how that makes any fucking sense to anybody. And I love how she's black all of a sudden. Everybody's black. Oh, it's xenophobic. It's anti-fucking, no matter what. Islamophobic, womanophobic, fucking headscarfophobic. No matter what you want to say, they are coming up with name after name after name after name. And all I see is a light brown Somalian supremacist who thinks that she deserves everything and she's better than everybody else. You're all fucking supremacists. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to be supreme over everybody else at their own expense by taking from them and giving them to fucking God knows who. But I got to tell you something. I saw a video, and I'm going to call it Tim Walz's wife. This is her. And I'm not saying it's her, but we're going to pretend that it's her. When she heard all the trouble that Tim Walz was getting into. I found that fucking hysterical. First off, the little ass shake at the bottom, kind of hot. I could picture that being Tim Walz's wife. And you gotta love the baby cry at the end. Oh man, that's their fucking. You have the left is just screaming everywhere they go. Fucking at this point. Oh man, do I have anything else on that? Here's Christy Nome. Here's the last part on this.
You told me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose. And I think he's bold, sir. He brought people in there illegally that never should have been in this country, said they were somebody that they're not. They said they were married to somebody who was their brother.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that button. So I'm a dumbass. But what she was going on to say was people marrying their brothers, marrying their sisters, coming in. All of that is like fraudulent shit. That's what Ilhan Omar did. It's just normal now that she married her brother. I guess that's normal. It's normal American behavior anymore, right? Unbelievable. Let's see if we have. Hey, Jersey Abe's in the chat. Says lynch them all. Why? Because they're black? That sounds racist. That sounds racist. Jersey Abe. He said, let's go burn all the boats. Yankee 68 says garbage. That is garbage. If you're telling me, and I have a bunch of president emojis, if it really isn't a problem, then why do they feel the need to broadcast that? Then there are none. Jay Calvin says, I don't like people who come to our country and then put it down and scam its citizens. And he's laughing his ass off over that woman screaming. And that's all Ilhan Omar has done, right? Nothing for nothing, Jerry. She has called you a racist, Islamophobic. You are every piece of shit that Donald Trump is, because you're a Donald Trump voter. So when she's calling him that, she's calling you that, and you're an American, and your tax dollars probably go to fund half of her crap. And that's the disgusting part about all of this. Let's get to the last couple of stories here. We had, I don't know if you know this, and I'm gonna play part of this. I guess I could play. It's like 2 minutes long. This is Senator Kennedy. The last 70 days of Biden. I want to play this right after, obviously, this Tim Walz thing, because it just goes to show you how these politicians are using our tax money against us. They're using our tax money to whatever they're doing with the corruption, but it's not going to us. It's going to wherever the fuck they are like laundering it to. However it works, I don't know how it works, but I know it's disgusting. This is Senator Kennedy talking about $90-something billion being given out in the last 70 days of Joe Biden.
Mr. Secretary, I want to go back to some of your earlier testimony, be sure I heard it correctly. The 76-day period you're talking about, that's the period between the time that President Trump was elected and President Biden left office. Is that right?
That is correct.
And during that short period of time, 76 days, how much taxpayer money went out the door of the Department of Energy?
From the Loan Program Office in loans and commitments, $93 billion. Well over twice as much as in the previous 15 years. So,
how do you vet and do due diligence on a loan in 76 days? One loan, much less $93 billion. How do you do it?
I think it's probably pretty clear it wasn't done in many cases. As I mentioned, I'm told I'm holding back clearly in place stuff. There was lots of funds that have gone out the door and commitments that were made from businesses that provided no business plan, no numbers about their own financial solvency or how this project
So you're telling me that the Department of Energy, in the 76-day period, before their boss was going to leave office, gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan?
Correct.
No financials?
Correct. A number of those were were before the 76-day period as well.
Are you kidding me? They had no business plan? No finance? Would they even have a damn company? Man, I'm just fixing to be mad at this bullshit. I mean, that speaks for itself, doesn't it? 98 or $96 million, a billion. Sorry, it's you get the numbers. They're just so large in the fraud category anymore that it's just billions and billions and billions and billions. But don't worry, Doge says they found a lot of the billions back. Let's see if that is actually going to work. We have a couple other things, but it looks like we are up against it. So I'm gonna save two of these videos for later. But let me go through a couple quick stories. I don't know if you saw this, but Trump said that he'll release the video on that second shooting. Okay, Trump promises 100. What is that? What is that number? $100 billion in savings on the table with the new plan. That's what he's talking about, his new plan in regards to auto manufacturers. Very interesting stuff right there. It's basically where he is going to first off, take off all of the Biden era manufacturing laws and the EPA regulations and all that stuff that has increased the cost of cars incredibly with all the horse shit that needs to be in it. My car has a button, or my wife's truck has a button where you have to hit every time you start it. That doesn't turn it off at every fucking street light. It's so irritating when that truck turns off, and when you hit the brake, it turns back on. When I forget to turn it off, it's absolutely ridiculous. But it's also, what he's doing is he's letting you deduct the interest, I believe, in the loans of your car loans. So when you buy them, he's letting, this was in the big beautiful bill, he's letting you deduct the interest on that. TPUSA is challenging Candace Owens to debate Kirk assassination claims. They went off on her in like a 7-minute video, basically saying that she's 100% full of shit. Let's see if she takes them. If they takes them up on it. I have something I wanted to talk about, but I'm not going to be talking about that. I guess I'll kick that to Friday with Mike. That's going to be a fun topic with Mike. Breaking: Republican Matt Van Epps defeated Democrat Affin Bain in a Tennessee House election. Apparently, 22-point Trump victory was down into single digits. You can't take anything from that election. Absolutely not. It's a special election. Democrats, for whatever reason, they vote in those things way more than the Republicans do. The ketamine doctor who sold Matthew Perry his overdose got 2.5 years in prison. So the guy who killed him got 2.5 years in prison, but the people who were going to kill a whole bunch of people with drugs are victims. Just think about this fucking concept for a second. We have this guy, the doctor, at the same time, the left is crying about these 2 Venezuelan drug traffickers. The doctor got 2.5 years in jail. And he should. I mean, that guy's his patient OD'd. So you're a doctor. You're not a drug dealer. If you're a drug dealer, I think you still should, face some type of consequences for your product absolutely killing people. And there's one more thing I want to show you guys. This was just impressive as fuck. And we're going to close out the show with this. So they all landed in there. I guess I cut it off a little bit. Impressive. How many hours do you think it took, just to be able to balance yourself on that bike? But she had to have her dad like screaming at him, "You know, drop the plates. Boss, every ball on your head you catch. Do it again. Fucking tormented that poor woman. You see how excited she was? She was excited because she got to eat that night. Her dad was going to feed her, but she looked like she was pretty old. So maybe her husband, maybe it was her husband. That was the problem the entire time. How many times do you think that she failed until she got it? Thousands and thousands. And then she got beatings from it, bro. I'm telling you, like, this is Chinese. Like, she got beat if one bowl hit the floor. And then every time that she failed, they added another bowl to the top of her. You know, she had like 20 bowls stacked up on her head to begin with. Jay Keller says, yep, makes my blood boil that these people come here and are supported by our government, and yet they rob our tax money. And Yankee 68 says, this kind of shit makes me want to do bad things to these people. I guess that's the point, right? So, hey, guys, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you share the fuck out of this. And, of course, finger the hell out of my like button. My like button loves to be fingered by the tip of your finger. And if you could just do that for me, you will really turn me on to the algorithms. It's going to be really good if you could do that. If you could do that, share this, talk about it. Let's get the show out. Again, guys, I'm trying to build the Caltrop army, the Caltrop mass, whatever you want to talk about it, the Caltrop defense mechanism. We need a lot of Caltrops. The more Caltrops that we have, the better. And a Caltrop does not get fooled by ignorance like crying over being a war criminal. The Caltrop, we're not stupid people like that. And if you want to be a Caltrop in your own mind, it starts by not being outraged by every single thing that the media tries to get you outraged over. And I like what Trump said to Mom Dami. Just don't explain it. It's easier. Go fuck these people. I don't know why they keep explaining themselves to a media that clearly isn't interested in hearing the explanation. So, hey guys, thank you very much for joining us. I will be back obviously on Friday with Fresh Mike, and then today, if you want to see and listen to more of Calderese at 10 o'clock tonight, hop on over to the I Came With Fire show, I Came With Fire podcast. They're on Rumble, they're on YouTube, and they're on X, a whole bunch of different places you can find I Came With Fire. Great show. We're going to be talking about probably similar stuff, but they come from the Army perspective. So if you want to hear from people that have been in it and know the chain of command and know this type of stuff, we're going to get into probably the same thing, Hegseth, and a number of different other topics. But great time tonight, 10 a.m. And obviously Friday I'll be back with Fresh Mike. Thanks, guys. This Caltrop is out. Later.